Sandy says read. Welcome back to the channel. Okay, you guys, we are going to move on with the alphabet tag, and today we are doing the B's. This tag originated at Jim's Books, Reading, and Stuff channel, which I can recommend. We're going to dive in. You ready? All right, B is for Bildungsroman. I probably butchered that. I apologize, but it's basically, what's your favorite coming-of-age story? And I'm going to say the character of Garion in the Bulgariad. There we go. His name later becomes Belgarian. So he starts out as a little kid, right? So he has to have a coming of age. And so over the next 5 books, over the next 5 stories, he does. He goes through a great character arc. You guys are going to hear my parrots in the background. I apologize. There'll be no editing of this. Anyway, so Garion goes through a great character arc. I read this a long time ago. And you know, when you revisit some stories or passages of stories that you liked as a kid, I always like Garion and how he grew, how he got so much better as he got older. You know, there's one scene where he's accepted the fact that he's going on a quest. He's accepted the fact that he's coming into some powers, right? And he like reaches out with his mind to the bad guy. He's going to threaten the bad guy and let the bad guy know that he's going to come get him, right? He's a precocious kid. And so he does this. He uses like telepathic power or something to let the bad guy know, I'm going to come get you. And his mentor, wizard, turns to him and he's like, are you crazy? What are you doing? Never do that. And, you know, he's just a precocious kid. He's a smug kid who's going to go be powerful, right? So he has to overcome that kind of arrogance too. I mean, he has a good character arc he goes through. It's a good story. It's a good coming of age story. I liked it. There we go. All right, the next B prompt is for beach. What's your beach read recommendation? I've got 2. I'm going to start with Damsel in Social Distance. Get the glare off of it. By Cassandra Morgan. And we just did a review of this pretty recently on this channel, so I'll put a link to that in the drop-down box below. But this is, I mean, it's a quick read. If you were going to go to the beach, you could read that in a couple of hours. Get a nice little sunburn while you're reading. But I also want to recommend A Chance to Say Yes, the glares, by Tina Murray. This one was released back in like 2008. 2007, 2008, I think. And it's part of her Starlight on the Gulf. I should know the name of her series. I think it's Starlight on the Gulf. But it's kind of a glitzy, glamoury, romantic dynasty story, right? You know, it follows her hero is Heston Deming. It kind of follows his dynasty. Her series does. And it's a good beach read. I would recommend. All right, what's the next prompt? B is for best book. What's the best book you've read so far this year? You guys, that's a really heavy question, okay? There's a lot of books. I've read quite a few so far this year that they're really good, but the best book I will read this year, I am currently rereading Sword of Shannara by Terry Brooks. I'm going to be interviewing him at Imaginarium in July. So I wanted to reread Sword of Shannara. I wanted to just like re-familiarize myself with the world, with the characters, just get that back in my brain, right? Because I'm, you know, coming up with the good interview questions. I mean, we're going to be in front of an audience. I want them to be good, right? So yeah, I just wanted to re-familiarize myself with it. And that story, it's so good. And the writing style from like 1977 is so different from the writing style we have today with authors. It's rich. It's in depth, right? It's good. That's the best book I'm going to read this year, bar none. Okay, B is for bookshop or bookstore. What's your favorite bookshop? And I'm going to go with Main Street Books in downtown St. Charles, Missouri. I don't live in Missouri anymore, but you know, when I'm back home, visited my folks, we've gone into Main Street Books, and it's one of those stores that when you walk in, it smells like a bookstore. And you know what I mean? I mean, when you walk into Barnes and Noble, it smells like a coffee shop with some books, right? There are some bookstores you walk into and they smell like a candle shop. That's nice. If you're selling books, I'm happy about it. But Main Street Books, it smells like an actual bookstore. And I dig that. Okay, the next prompt is B is for banned books. Is there any book you think should be banned? No. I invite everyone to read Fahrenheit 451 and then talk about banning books. Right. Although, you know what, guys, that book Vector, I know I've talked about that here on this channel before. It is, the copy that I owned is decaying in a landfill somewhere, as it should, but I wouldn't ban it. Okay, the next prompt. B is for Bible. What's your favorite book of the Bible, and what trigger warning do you think it should have? Okay, you guys know I think Malachi would be a great book of the Bible to read for all the reasons. Right about now, Revelation would be a good one to read. But, for something soothing and lovely, I would read Psalms, the whole book of Psalms. That's a good one, definitely. Trigger warnings, no. Trigger warnings are for wusses. All right, B is for bookshelf. Show us your bookshelves. I will put a link in the drop-down box below to see the quick look at my bookshelves. Then B is for Brazil. And the prompt that comes with this one, I've been told I can make up a prompt. The prompt that comes with this one, I have not read any of the books by Paulo, and that's a shame. My current publisher did read one of his books like a year or so ago, and I wrote down the name of the book that he was reading, and I wanted to get back to it and read it myself, and I haven't done so. I have failed. So the prompt we're going to make up for this final B is for Bronte. All right, you guys. What's your fave Bronte work? Not just novel, but Bronte work. Any of their juvenilia, poetry. And we're going to include Branwell in there too. And Patrick. Let's put Dad in there too. Your favorite Bronte work. I want you guys to tell me in the comments below your favorite Bronte work. Mine may be a little bit cliche because it's Jane Eyre. And I can't help it. I love Jane Eyre. I read this one summer before college, back in high school, and went, oh, Jane Eyre. I'm one of those readers that when I got to the scene, the wedding, when I got to that and things started falling apart and there was still like a third of the book to go, I threw the book down. I was so irritated. I was so frustrated. I was so moved. I threw the book down and came back to it, of course, and finished reading it. I was floored by Charlotte Bronte. Yeah, I'm a big Jane Eyre fan. I don't know how many copies of Jane Eyre I have. I could count them all. I don't know how many copies I have because it's a great book. There should be lots of copies of it everywhere in your home so you can look at it anytime you want to. But in their juvenilia, Charlotte has a little like character sketch of Mina Lowry. And in this character sketch of her juvenilia, I see Rochester in Zamorna, Duke Zamorna. I see Rochester in that character. So I'm also very intrigued by Mina Lowry. There you go. I encourage you to look up Mina Lowry and read it. Keep in mind, it was her juvenilia. The writing is over the top. Yeah, Mina reminds me of my character Abigail Ferrier in the Choices series. Not that that's on purpose or anything. Okay, that was it for the B tag. Quick and easy, right? We'll do the C's at some point in the near future. You guys, thumbs up for B is for books and all that good stuff, and follow along. And you're going to have to click the bell notification icon so you're notified when I do this random stuff. Thanks for tuning in.